a video on overnight oats. So I need to do a bit of faffing around with something with overnight oats for part of a bigger project like a limited budget, limited kind of ingredients. So I need to have faff around with overnight oats, so I might as well film it. So I've got, they're alright oats, and overnight oats are alright. Porridge is a bit boring. I find it a bit gloopy. So overnight oats is more of a easy thing to do, and we can add a bit of fruit. But because we've got limited ingredients, we've kind of need to get flavour, as much flavour from where we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast the oats first. So there's 450 grams worth of oats. I'm going to heat it in the frying pan. So which kind of is a little bit of a problem, because if we're on a limited budget, we're on a limited budget for fuel as well. So, which is a little bit of a kind of a bit of a problem. So I kind of want to add flavour, but by adding flavour, I'm also raising the cost through the fuel that I use. So I'll leave that one with you to decide. But I'm going to toast these oats, and by toasting them, we're going to create some more flavour and make it more interesting. And generally, when I think with limited budget and limited ingredients, we can need to do as much to things. We need to do as much to things as possible to get as much flavour out of them. And kind of, if we can't add flavour through something else, like using some brown sugar or some honey or something like that, we need to kind of get some flavour into another way. So toasting them is a good thing to do. So I'm just going to heat them in the pan. We're going to lose some. Moisture because we're heating them. So that's why I weighed them for. So, and then that'll also give me an idea of what kind of portion size as well. But I'm waffling. So I'm going to toast them. They're going to become browner, and then we'll we'll kind of see how much they weigh afterwards, and then we'll make some overnight oats. So it's toasted. I don't want to take it any more than that because there's always a danger that we're going to burn it. So need to weigh that, see how much is in it. Ooh, that's interesting. So we've lost 50 grams worth of oats. So I really should do this in another position, shouldn't I? We'll measure off camera. I can't be bothered moving now. So what am I going to do? We'll do it in the glass, and we'll see how much oats. So I reckon let's go for 50 grams worth of oats to start off with. So that's 50 grams worth of oats. No, not quite a lot. Let's do 2 glasses full, and then we can always. That's alright, yeah. So let's do 2 glasses full. So 150 grams in another glass. Oh, but there's going to be some fruit going out as well, isn't there? We're only messing around. So I've got this, it's mixed dried fruit, so there's bits of orange peel in there as well. So how much? I'm going to put in 25 grams worth of that. Get an idea. That's about the right kind of ratio, so that's 25 grams. 25 grams in the other one. Will be interesting, you can't see what I'm doing at all. That's 25 grams. So that's that. How much milk am I going to put in? If I put 50 grams in, 50 millilitres? Well, let's put in 50 grams and we'll kind of see. if that's kind of a good enough kind of ratio. Probably not. No, that's not made up. So 100 grams worth of milk. I suppose you could always put water in as well. Ah, that's what we'll do in the other one. Right, so that's 100 grams of milk in that one. And then let's do 50 grams worth of milk and 50 grams worth of water in this one. With a bit of a taste test. And then we can cut down on the amount of milk that we're putting in. So we'll kind of see how it works. There. So we don't need any sugar in because the fruit will have got a little bit of sugar around it. I did have a spoon. Yes, I did have a spoon. So the fruit has got a little bit of sugar coating on it. So that'll give us an idea of, and because the fruit's sweet as well, then that'll be the sweetness that we need. Otherwise, sugar's not in the budget, so we're probably going to need more liquid than that. So, be able to tell which one's which, won't I? Let's just mark on and then a little bit of crinkle. So that was the water one. Normally I'd make these in a jar, but I've taken all my jars to a friend's who distributes them to people who want to make jams and things like that. So put a nut on there for milk, and we'll put a wort on there for water, and then we'll see what they're like in the morning. Right, they've soaked overnight, and it looks like they certainly needed more liquid in than I put in. So what do we put in? I'm putting 50 grams worth of, that's the water one, water and milk, and that's the milk one. I'm putting 50 grams worth of oats, and then 100 grams worth of liquid. So, a bit claggy. What does it taste like? It's sweet enough with the, what we call it, with the fruit in. This is the water one, so so it needs more liquid. Let's add another 25 millilitres of water, another 25 millilitres of milk to the half and half one. I think 25 millilitres is not a lot. Some milk to that. No, yeah, we'll do it that way. Go in a little bit more. Right, so that's another 50 millilitres in there. That's probably the best thing to do. Let's add, soak it in some liquid overnight and then add more. That's half and half, so that'll be 75 millilitres of milk, 75 millilitres of water, and that looks a good ratio. That's alright, it's not miserable. That's alright, so I put 50 millilitres of milk other one. Just slightly over, okay. So we need 3 times the amount of liquid for the amount of oats. This one's going to be a lot nicer because it's got like 100% milk in it. But it's a budget thing. It's a budget thing. But we don't want to be miserable. That's the thing. And see, that's much nicer because of the fat content in the milk. But that's quite strange. It kind of depends on what you can eat during the day. So if you're going to do the 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner, you don't want too much of a bigger breakfast. If you can have something more substantial for breakfast. Well, whereas a midday kind of snack to kind of keep you going, have a bigger breakfast, midday snack, which could be this, and then something for later on in the day. It's not a bad option. It looks like the water's wanting to pull out more of the colour from the oats. But anyway, so that's that one again. See, it makes a difference. Because sometimes you can taste something, and you go, "Oh, that's not so bad," and then taste a nicer version of it, and you kind of go, "Oh, well, it's not that much difference." But then what you should do is taste a nicer version, and then go back to the version that's not as nice, and see what the difference is. Do you know what? Half milk and half water is fully acceptable. Yeah, that's okay. It's a little bit of an experiment. That's okay. It depends what type of milk you're used to as well. If you're used to full fat milk, putting water in it might be an issue. But if you're used to semi-skimmed milk, you're probably going to be okay with something like that. And the cooking of the oats to get a bit of colour and a bit of multi-flavour makes a difference as well. And that mixed fruit in there as well makes a difference. But anyway, yeah, so overnight oats works. I'll have to have a think about if it actually is worthwhile doing. But anyway, that's something for me to think about. Right, so I've had a thought. We just need to, well, I had a thought. We might as well do it. So, 75 grams of the oats, 35 grams of the fruit, and then I'm going to put in 100 millilitres of water and 50 millilitres of milk, because I thought that the water brought out more of the colour and flavour of the oats. So that in there, we'll let it soak, well, not overnight, but for a few hours, because I'm going to go out for a walk. And then we'll add some milk when we get home, and we'll give it another taste. So I thought the one with the water was slightly nicer. Well, not nicer, but just kind of different. And I kind of want to get like a portion kind of right. So 75 grams. Obviously, we dry it out, we lose a little bit of weight. So a kilo is going to get reduced down to about 800 grams. So for like 10 days, we're going to look at like 80 grams, 80 grams worth of oats per day, just to kind of get the recipe kind of right. So anyway, so that lid on, and then in the fridge, and then we'll see what it's like in a few hours. Right, that's been soaking long enough. So another 50 millilitres of milk, and then that looks about right, isn't it? That looks about right. So 75 grams of oats and 200 grams worth of liquid and 35 grams of fruit. Although kind of depending how you kind of want to do it, so 35 grams about right, but you could up it to 50. It kind of just depends how much you want to put in. I think that's about the kind of right kind of ratio. Yeah, there we go. That's about right. Amount of liquid and the right amount of oats toasting them certainly makes a huge amount of difference. And probably if you want to make your porridge as well, you want to toast the oats beforehand. That's going to make a huge amount of difference. But there we go. So, because we're using full fat milk, we can get away with using half water, half milk. Depending on your budget, all those type of things, what you kind of want to spend. I suppose you could up the water content a little bit more, cut down the milk to kind of cut down kind of costs. But you don't, I don't know, just because you can't, just because we're on a limited budget and limited ingredients, we don't want to be miserable, do we? You know, we still want some kind of joy and make things as nice as possible, as kind of cheap as possible. But with the fruit in there, it's really nice. I don't think it needs anything more fruit than that. I think a good ratio, like half the amount of fruit to oats, is a good kind of ratio. But there we go, that works. I'm happy with that. Quick add-on to the overnight oats. So I've made some yogurt, and I always strain the excess whey out of it. So I've got the whey. I don't normally know what to do with it. There are some things you can do with it, but I just kind of thought, let's have a go at making the overnight oats with whey instead of milk. So 75 grams worth of oats, 35 grams worth of fruit, and then we'll put in 100 milliliters of whey. I mean, it's probiotic, it's this. I mean, it's a live yogurt. So, well, it needs more than that, doesn't it? It needs more than 100. So let's put in 150. So, yeah, so I just kind of thought that would be really healthy because it's got natural bacteria in it on yeast already, so it should make it more interesting. So that, lid on, in the fridge overnight. We'll see how it is in the morning. We'll see if it needs, we'll put a lid somewhere. We'll see if it needs milk in it, which kind of defeats the object, or we can just get away with the whey. So that's that. Although I really should taste the whey, shouldn't I? Let's have a taste. Oh, it's not sour or anything like that, so we might get away with 100% whey, but we'll taste a little bit in the morning when it's soaked overnight. Right, the oats have been soaking overnight. Let's have a taste. Do I want to add whey to it, or do I want to add some milk? It's pretty good actually. So how much should we put in? We'll put in 150, so we want another 50 grams just to kind of loosen it. Now, this only kind of works if you actually make your own yogurt. But I don't know, it's just that kind of out of interest. Like most of the things that I do, most are just out of interest, as a way of using something else up and not throwing it away. Keeping your costs down in life and all that kind of things. Like making your own yogurt is nicer and cheaper than anything you can buy. Well, probably not anything. You could buy some really expensive yogurt that's really nice, but from my point of view, I think it's much nicer than things you can buy. It's alright. I think it would have been better with half whey, half milk. But certainly a lot healthier with the whey in it. Yeah, it's alright. Yeah. It works, it's nice. But not many people out there are going to have their own way from this, from the homemade yogurt, are they? So, kind of a little bit pointless for the majority of the people out there. But interesting also.